Hey, what's going on? Casey here, Slacky Brown, and we're back. We haven't had a big interview in a while, but that changes today. We got Willie Shaw, um, college baseball player at William and Mary. He's an all-conference player. He did a lot of big things there, and then he pivoted into a music career down in Nashville, and he's been successful in that world as well. I mean, on TikTok, he's got like a gazillion views. I don't know TikTok, but he's making some waves there for sure, and he's just a really beautiful voice, lots of talent. Check him out on Spotify. I recommend it. From Slacky Brown perspective, this will be the kickoff. What I hope is a bunch of interviews coming down the pipe. So I like having the Virginia flavor. He played at William and Mary. Slacky Brown headquarters is down in Charlottesville now, so I like the Virginia flavor. But it's best when you can have Virginia and national, and that's what Willie is. So enjoy. We had a good time, and we'll definitely want to be involved with Mr. Shaw in the future. So enjoy.
Count, payoff pitch coming. This one is grounded over to Shaw. He will throw over to the second baseman. Music starts moving like you knew I was coming.
So you grew up in California. Did you play JUCO?
Yeah. Junior college for the first 2 years of college. Out back home in Orange County, out in California, and then got basically a full ride. So it was like, you know how baseball is, where it's like I got 30. I think I got like a proportion of my scholarship was from athletics, and the rest was like academics and all sorts of different stuff. But yeah, ended up getting a really great scholarship out to William and Mary.
I played a couple of years of JUCO baseball too, so I know that grind for sure. Were you like have a couple different options, or how did you
so I had really good grades, and so I got into a lot of schools. So I got into Duke, North Carolina, SC, UCLA, Oregon, and there's a couple others. But emailed all those coaches and said, hey, I got into the school, would love to see if there's an opportunity to walk on or whatever. I had some preferred walk-ons for both UCLA and USC. Just kind of didn't want to go. Like USC, I had 3 different options to go there out of high school. And that's where my parents went. I kind of wanted to do my own thing. And they were all preferred walk-ons as opposed to scholarship money. And so I wanted to be a scholarship guy, man. I wanted to feel like I accomplished that. And I was always worried that I'd just be the first guy cut if I wasn't on scholarship, So so when it came down to it, I had about 3 or 4 different schools I could go to. Liberty in Virginia.
They're kicking ass this year, man.
Dude, they're so good. Their facilities are crazy.
Oh my God. It's like almost as nice as UVA's facility.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's beautiful.
No, it really is. Like, I was shocked every time we played them. I just felt like we were at like the greatest sports facility ever. It was weird. But yeah, it was basically between them, UConn, and Villanova, and Delaware, and William and Mary. Those were kind of the schools that had offered me some significant money. And it ended up coming down to I was either going to go to Villanova or William and Mary. And
did you do the tour? Did you
I didn't tour any of the schools.
Really? No shit.
Yeah. So like, I take that back. Actually, I did see one. I went to William and Mary before I committed. It was like the last series of the season, because in JUCO, I mean, you're playing and they're coming to see you during the season. And so I saw like one of their last weekend series, and I committed to William and Mary, and UCLA was still kind of talking to me, but they were going to try and see if they had any money left, but they didn't end up having money. And so I didn't go there. They ended up winning the national championship that year, but yeah, and then I committed to William and Mary, and like 4 days later, the head coach got fired.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
No shit.
So Frank Leone got fired. I think he coaches it. There's a D3 in DC called Marysville. I don't know. I can't remember but he coaches at some D3 now. And so he calls me and tells me, hey, like, you should probably call the schools that were recruiting you. And then I ended up just staying. I liked it. I thought this campus was beautiful. It's one of the best schools in the country. I was like, I'm good, man. Like, I'm just going to show up and see what happens. And then my first year there, we set records for everything while we were there. So we got our first at-large bid in school history. Um, yeah, it was just crazy, man. We went to the North Carolina State Regional, played Carlos Rodon and Trey Turner, beat Ole Miss. So our regional was it was us, NC State, Ole Miss, and Binghamton.
Oh, I played baseball in Binghamton. Not at Binghamton, but I played in Binghamton.
So Binghamton was nasty that year too. They had some pitchers that threw like 98. It was crazy. But we got Ole Miss, they got NC State. We were the 3 seed, which was crazy as an at-large bid from a mid-major. And our first game, so the Ole Miss threw their Saturday guy at us instead of Bobby Wall, who was their Friday night guy, and we beat him 4-0. And then we went to NC State, and NC State had Carlos Rodon waiting for us, and he threw a no-hitter through 6 innings. And I actually was the guy that broke it up somehow.
Hey.
And so I like basically closed my eyes and punched a ball through the right side and somehow went through. And I was like, holy shit. So, so we ended up losing 1-0 that game. Went back to play Ole Miss again, beat them again, then came back to play NC State again and lost to them 7-3, and we're knocked out. But
that's a pretty good showing, though, man.
Yeah, man. I mean,
like,
we
really
set
good.
Like school records. We set records left and right, dude. Like most wins in history. I think we put up 38 wins or something. But it was, dude, I mean, it ended up being like fairy tale perfect. Like it was awesome now. And then my senior year, we were the number 1 offense in the country for the first 2 months of the season. And then I tore my rotator cuff, labrum, and my MCL in my left knee. And so
how'd that go down?
So shoulder, it was just kind of wear and tear stuff over
for sure.
Lifting and some different things. And so tore my labrum. That was the big one. While they were in there, they just kind of fixed up my rotator cuff just because they were in there.
While we're here.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but like that season, we kind of scuffled out the gate, but we ended up being nasty. I mean, we had 3 or 4 guys get drafted. On that team, there was 6 total draft guys. And we were really, really good. But the day I had to decide whether I was going to take a medical red shirt or not is the day that my MCL was torn, because I was playing first base and got in a collision on first base. It was a long hop from our third baseman, and I kind of like stepped back to body it.
Yeah.
And my foot was in the ground, and the runner came up the line at me. And my cleat stuck and my knee popped, and it was kind of a dirty play. We were at Campbell University in North Carolina.
They're orange and black, I think, right?
Yeah, dude, there's some schools in North Carolina that are brutal, but
like the sticks or like the hood?
Yeah, just out in the middle.
Out the middle.
Like you get off the bus and you're like, where are we going to eat? And it's like,
good luck.
The only place to eat at that. We played High Point one year, and they're like, they're a rich school. And like the only place to eat was a place called Western Sizzlin', and it was like a buffet. It was so bad. Anyway, we ended up eating like pizza like every night. But so I blew out my knee. I ended up redshirting that year, coming back for a 5th year, and it was tough. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I think I did okay my last year, but our team was pretty bad because it was just a turnover year. I mean, all of our guys were gone, and we had a bunch of young guys playing, and so I mean, it was fun to still play, obviously, no doubt. But I ended up getting a master's in accounting because I was a 5th year, so I had to be eligible. So I got my master's in accounting, and while I was there, so that summer I got surgery like May 2nd, maybe in 2014, and classes for the accounting program started like May 19th or something like that. And I had to get the equivalent of an undergraduate accounting degree in one summer. And so I was taking classes from like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Like managerial accounting was 13 days long. Taxation was like 8 days long. Like evaluate. I mean, this is the fastest you will ever take a class, but and so I was like barely passing these things. And by the time 5 p.m. would roll around, I would just be like, dude, I do not want to stare at another number. Like I'm out. And so what I ended up doing, I took my guitar. And if you've ever been to Williamsburg, there's a place called Columbia, right at the top of our campus. And it's basically Disneyland for old people and history buffs. And so there's like on Dog Street, Duke of Gloucester Street is what it's called. There's this, it's kind of like nicer dining areas. And so I had a table agreement with a place called the Trellis. It's one of the restaurants there. I would just sit on a tree planter outside of their restaurant and I would busk. I would just sing all night long. And
The case open and all that.
yeah, the whole thing,
Yeah.
the whole thing. And dude, I made really good money because the population that was walking by,
And I dig.
they were pretty wealthy. And so I was making, I think the most I made in one night was like $600.
Dude, that's
But like
official.
on average, it was like 250 to 300.
Plus, you can sing your ass off. So
Right. Thank you. And so, but yeah, so you're not allowed to solicit, right? And so, like, they basically the restaurant told me, at least a couple of the waiters, I think it was a manager that came out and talked to me. He's like, hey, normally we turn somebody in for doing this kind of thing, but every time you sing, we sell like anywhere from 2 to 4 bottles of wine extra a night because they had a patio that was right next to me.
just like hang out.
Right. So when I sang, like the people would just sit on the patio and like drink and just hang out. And so the restaurant was like, bro, like you can
We're
sing
in.
as long as you want, and we'll even give you a burger every now and then, like at half price, just as a thank you. So I would go there like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I would
So
go
this
there
is like in senior year, in your
Yes.
last year.
summer before my 5th year.
Okay.
So my schedule was 7 a.m. class, get off at 11 for lunch. You get 1 hour for lunch. Well, I would grab lunch, go to the athletic department, rehab my shoulder from surgery, go back to class till 5, go home, grab my guitar, go busk on the street. And so, and then in 1 week, I had 3 different people with connections to Nashville. And they're like, you should go. Like one was from my church that said, like, I need to meet this dude who was a prolific songwriter here. Another person was connected to a guy that owned a studio. And then another person was connected to somebody that like worked for Billboard. And I was like, all right, cool. And so after the season, I just drove down here for a week and checked out Nashville and really just fell in love with the city. I thought it was super cool. And I really
it's like on the come up.
Yeah, right. Well, at that time I had no idea. Like, I mean, the last like 3 years, Nashville's blown up, dude.
Yeah.
But I got pretty lucky moving here before all that started and really getting to know the town, like getting to know the people. I just felt really fortunate to move here and it's been pretty great. And so when I first moved here, I didn't know a single person, and like literally I did not know one person. And so I was introduced to some people and just kind of started networking from there. My first job, I worked with NASA. And so I was a project manager. I was like the low guy on the totem pole. It was basically like a glorified internship. But I worked from Nashville. I was badged out of California. If I ever had to go in, I'd go to Huntsville, Alabama. But so that was my first job. And so what was crazy about it was like I didn't have an office to go into, right? And so like trying to find friends was just brutal. And so luckily
kind of like the pandemic for a lot of people.
Yeah, seriously. Like I can't imagine being a college grad coming out
Bro.
Pandemic, that would have been wild. And so luckily I got in with a church here down in Nashville, and I met a ton of really, really great people that I'm still friends with to this day. And then man, I just kept kind of knocking on doors, and then I just happened to sing in the right bar on the right night, and somebody heard me, and that's kind of how it happened.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but is there like a dream shift at some point, like coming off of your first season at William and Mary? You guys are in the tournament. You have a good season. You hit like 280 something.
Right.
Were you thinking like, okay,
you did your homework on me.
Right. That's what I do, man.
Yeah.
So like, are you thinking like, I've seen all my teammates get drafted.
Yeah.
My dream's always been, I don't know if it was or not, but my dream's always been to play pro baseball. It's going to happen for me. Or we kind of like just going with the flow.
Yeah, I was just going with the flow. I mean, I think I had probably the talent to do it. I didn't have the mental side of the game to do it. And that's
baseball's tough, man.
Right. That's probably one thing that like, if I could do it again, I just put a lot of pressure on myself. And like, I was the dude that like would go 0 for 4 in one game after hitting like 400 the last 2 weeks. I'd be like, my career's over.
Yeah.
And so I think that I definitely had the talent, but just mentally, like I was too Like I'm either freaking a Hall of Famer today, or like I'm nowhere to be found. And so I knew that. And at a certain point, like I just realized I was super fortunate. Like baseball did great things for me, like would it have been cool to get drafted? Great. Would it be awesome to make a big league roster? Absolutely. But like I was in no place to complain of how that ended. I got out of school with no debt and 2 degrees. Like not many people can say that. I like to joke that I traded some ligaments for a degree, So, so like, yeah, I mean, I wanted to be, the starting shortstop for the Dodgers growing up, and so like my favorite player was Mike Piazza. We had Dodgers season tickets, so it's like that was the dream. But, at some point you just got to move off of it. And I had a really, really big passion for music. Obviously, most of my family was musicians or are musicians. And so like there's an unwritten rule in our family that you just start playing an instrument by a certain age. Like nobody really actually enforces that rule, but it's just kind of like you look around and everybody plays an instrument. And you're like, I should probably figure something out. And so I actually found out that I could sing because my freshman year of high school, I was a freshman football player, and like me and all the freshman football guys, we took concert choir because concert choir was like a 300-person choir class, and it was the easiest day you could imagine. Mm-hmm. And so unless you spoke too much during class, which of course I spoke too much during class. And so to get your A back, like I just imagine like my parents were, fantastic parents and steered me right. And they're like, I can't show up with a less than an A in a concert choir. Like I'll get crucified. And so to get your A back, you had to sing a solo in front of the whole choir. And I said, wow. You Are the Sunshine of My Life by Stevie Wonder. And then the director of the choir came up and was like, you ever sung in front of anybody before? I was like, no, that's the first time. He's like, you want to sing the finale in the concert choir concert? And I was like, not really. And so I ended up finding out that I was good at singing then. Like I just thought everybody could sing in the shower, and that was kind of it, So that's how I got into it. And then I found out the girls like guys that play sports and guitar, and that was kind of history. That's all it took, man. And then I started learning how to play, and yeah.
So fast forward to this, you're in Nashville and you're in a bar, and is this what you consider this like your big break, or like this is when you first knew that, okay, maybe I can?
It was the first time I knew that I had a chance.
Yeah, there you
go. To say big break, maybe. I mean, it ended up leading me to a publishing deal, which is a songwriting contract here in Nashville. And those are pretty hard to come by. It's kind of weird because they don't really pay you anything. They pay you enough to live. And in the hopes that one of your songs just strikes and takes off, And so those are pretty hard to come by. And so in that regard, it gave me a career for a little bit, or at least I could call myself a professional songwriter, which is pretty cool. Good resume thing. But no, man, it's a super difficult industry. I mean, it's like athletics, but multiply it by 10 probably, and just in terms of how many people think they're a musician, And so, but it definitely led me to, I sang at a place called the Doghouse on Demumbrian here in Nashville, and a CAA agent, which they do booking and all that. They also represent athletes too, but he heard me, and it's a crazy story. And I don't know how long you want this interview to go, because I can talk, dude. I can talk all day. So, so long story. I'm going to try and condense it. I got invited to sing on The Voice, went and sang on The Voice. When you're on The Voice, they basically quarantine you. Like you're in a hotel, you're not allowed to leave the hotel. Like that's kind of it. And so you sing. Well, while I was there, I met this family from Atlanta, and I struck it off with them because I had a little girl at the time named Cammie. She was like 15 or 16 at the time. Well, if you're under 18, your parents had to come with you because you're still a minor, right? And so a parent was with you. And so we just hit it off. We're talking about church. And that's kind of the lead in. I mean, when you're in the South, a lot of church stuff, right? So, and so basically we left there. We had both made the show, and we left there and stayed in contact. And I ended up not wanting to do the show. One, because of the contract, there's kind of some weird stuff in it, but two, I basically looked at the time, it's probably 3 years ago. I was like, dude, like who's made it off The Voice and actually had a career, like especially in pop music, Like at the time, I think Ray Lynn was like the most successful artist.
I don't even know who that is.
And right. And she was in country for a hot second, I think, and like was on Blake's team. And that was kind of it. And now obviously Morgan Wallen came from that show. He had a pretty decent career going up until recently. And so
so that's I just kind of the country's not like totally my bag.
oh,
But
that's fine. That's fine.
I just recently like came across this stuff and I kind of learned the story. And I think he had like some kind of a little bit of baseball in his background too. So
yeah. A lot of athletes in Nashville, like Brett Young is a country guy. He played baseball.
He's like hardcore country, right? Like
yeah. Well, I mean, not sound wise, but he's one of the big hitters in country music. And so, but we played in the same junior college league. That's how crazy that is. Like,
really?
So like, yeah, and like Sam Hunt, a friend of mine, he dude, he played quarterback at MTSU and UAB. Who else was athletes? I think like Walker. Like, I don't know. If you don't know country music, then you're probably not gonna know these guys. But there's a lot of like former athletes in the country music world.
Hey, I mean, there's a connection. I can definitely see it.
Yeah, and so anyway, so I stay in contact with his family. And they tell me that they're going to come up and see one of my shows. And at the time, I actually didn't want to do music. I was kind of over it. Like there's some shady people in the music industry. I'd gotten burned by a producer, and then I got catfished, kind of.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And so, like, long story short on that one, this girl was trying to start her own record label and said that she had all this funding, and I was the one that figured out that she was lying. But like it was pretty bad. Like she had told like 14 or 15 people in town, like she was gonna hire them, and like people had left their jobs. Like,
oh God, that's so bad.
And like I was like, something's not making sense here. And I like she sent me an email with the email handle of who she was talking to, and I tried to email that person, and it came back that it wasn't real. And I was like, oh no.
Ooh.
And so like after those two things, I was like, man, I don't want to be a part of this industry. And so I did the voice thing just to like tell myself if I wanted to, I could have. Like,
was it
walk away.
Yeah. Was it in Nashville, the tryout, or?
Yeah. So they reached out to me on social media and basically said, hey, you're going to cut the line. You're going to sing straight for the producers. If they say yes, then we're going to fly you out to LA. And so that was that. And so, well, fast forward a couple months. And so I'm working in financial planning at Northwestern Mutual, talking investments and life insurance and all sorts of stuff.
That's what my wife does.
Did really?
She's like the lady who like finds guys out of college, and she's the vice president of the company. She recruited a couple of William and Mary, one baseball player at some point, and a lot of people.
Did she work for Northwestern Mutual?
No. She works for a company called McAdam.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So I was doing that, and I walked into a bar called San Anejo with a client. And when I walked in, I had told this family from Atlanta I was going to be playing a show that night. They drove up from Atlanta. And when I walked in, I didn't know they were in town already. This was a lunch meeting that I was having. I walk in a suit. And they're sitting there with this dude that's like as soon as you look at him, he's like 55 years old, just dressed like he is a music big shot, like suede. Like you just look at him. And like at the time, I was so mad at anybody that was in the music industry. I was just like, dude, this freaking guy, you know? It's like, hey, let me finish up this meeting. I'll come back and I'll chill with you guys for a little bit. So I finish up my work meeting. I sit down at their table, and Cammie's dad looks at me and says, hey, like, why aren't you going to do, I heard you're not going to do the voice. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. He's like, well, why wouldn't you just want the exposure? Like, it's going to be a big deal. And I looked at, I was pissed, dude. I was so mad that day. And I was just like, I was pissed the music wasn't working. Like I didn't know what to do. And so I looked at this dude in the suit that was clearly in the music industry. And I said, I was like, hey, would you sign somebody that's got 36,000 followers from a reality TV show, but they only get 100 likes a post? I have no idea. I don't know this guy's name. I have not introduced myself to him. Like, I just like, there it is. Yeah. And he goes, no. And so I looked back at Cammie's dad and I said, that's why I'm not going to do the show. And the guy that I don't know who it is, I have no idea where he works, what he does. I just know he's in music. He looks at me and says, God's telling me that I'm supposed to help you with music. And I looked across the table at him, like with my jaw on the floor, like, what? Like, you don't even know my name. Like, what do you mean? And I was like, all right, dude, like, whatever. Like, I've heard that before. Like, I've been in the music industry in the South before. Like, everybody wants to talk about their religion and whatnot. And I was like, whatever, man. And so I was like, all right, I'm playing a show tonight. If you want to come, you should come. So he shows up and I sing and dude, whenever I sing, I just can't, like, I get like this infectious smile on my face because I'm like truly like happy on stage. Like I just have a ton of fun doing it. It's so much joy for me. And so I walk off the stage and he goes, fuck you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And I still don't know this guy, right? And he's like, F you. And I'm like, all right, like, why? And he said, if you believe that you're not meant to do this, then you're an idiot. And I was like, fair enough. And so over the course of a couple of weeks, I met with him at his office, and he turned out to be one of the higher, like, I don't want to say like administrative guys, but he's a really successful agent at CAA. And so he ended up introducing me to some different companies. And that ended up introducing me to Maroon 5's management team. I was with them for a little bit and released some songs. And then, it's led to today.
Who's the 36,000 follower, 100 like guy?
Who is that?
Yeah.
It was nobody in particular. It was just a generalization because everybody like
buys those
at the time. Yeah. That was like in the height of like just buying followers.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I mean, the algorithm's changed a lot since then, but yeah, I was just like, why would you spend money on somebody that gets a pot? Like, so like, for instance, like if you, my opinion on like going on one of those shows, and the reason I didn't pursue it was, if you are the iPhone 8 and you know that an iPhone 9's coming, like you have a very tiny window to like do it, or else like you're just, it was cool. We already know
news, yeah.
Like we're moving to the next season. And like they run, I think twice a year they were doing like their seasons or something like that. And I was like, bro, no, that doesn't make any sense. And so that's why I didn't do it.
Yeah. So it's like, you got to capture like a ton in that little bit of time, and like, try and like either build that fan base that you get, or like, you got to do something really special in that 6 months.
You got to make it work, or else you're out. Like, and not like you're out, like you're done in music. Like, cause there's so many people that have been on one of those shows and like, they don't convert it. And then like, they are forever the person that was on that show.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a tag, right? It's like, it's probably a lot with like reality TV. I guess that's reality TV.
Yeah.
So what's the next move? Are you working on an album or? Yeah,
man. So kind of an interesting time. So the way that songwriter deals work, it's kind of like a rookie contract. And so think of it almost like similar to an arbitration, but basically you typically sign a 1+3, which means you sign a 1-year deal and then you get 3 options, but the options are always team option, never a player option. Right. So, I've actually decided to go separate ways with my company right now. And so June 1st, I'll be a free agent, and I got a ton of music that I'm excited to release. I just got to figure out what that's going to look like, because it's an interesting time in the industry where it's like, so I've written probably 250 or something songs, maybe. I think I've released 10, 11, 12, something like that.
You're holding them.
And so I've got a ton that I want to release, but it's trying to figure out how to do it, man. I mean, like the bar right now to get eyes on music is so high. And basically like you look at TikTok, right? Like it's crazy, but you almost have to sell your soul to it.
I can't even get on the TikTok.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and so like, as somebody that's like, I don't know, somebody that, how do I say this politely? Like it like hurts me to see that the road to success in music is based on
like selling
manipulating people to like worship you, basically. Like, I just want to make music that people are like, damn, that was a good song. Like, all right, cool. Like, great. I don't want to have to sell myself. Like, bro, I can't imagine what it's like to be a woman in this industry. Like on like TikTok, bro. Like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah.
Well, it's like if you like, show your ass, you're gonna get a lot more like
people. Like if you're willing to subject yourself to being an object, like you're probably gonna get ahead. But good luck breaking that mold. You know what I mean? And so like I was actually just talking to some close friends about it. Sorry, I've got the windows open, so bugs are starting to fly around. But I was talking to my buddy about it, and I was like, I want to make like I firmly believe that my parents' music was so much better than our generation's music. Like it just mattered more. Like
Well,
plain
there's
and
like
simple.
so much now. You know what I mean?
Right. And like and so it's just yeah. I'm waiting for all
Everyone,
that.
everyone with an internet connection and a microphone now can,
Yeah.
put out music. So there's a ton.
Yeah. And in the way that the nature, it's like you're just playing the lottery and trying to get one song. Like I'm interested to see what music will look like in the next couple of years and as it relates to like an actual career. Because everybody just releases a single in hopes it takes off. And if it does, great. Like, but the follow-up, people are so quick to move to the next thing. It's like, okay, now what? You know?
So are you committed to like DIY yourself and like market yourself as best you can, or you want to go down the road of like having a team behind you again?
Uh, I haven't figured that out yet. I think you need a team regardless, whether you're going to be independent or not. Um, you just need somebody that's that's just fighting for you and just in your corner. In anything, not just music, but
Yeah.
in anything, that's why we date. That's why we get married. That's why, you know, community is important. So just to have a team is truly important. But dude, I think the next step for me right now musically is just trying to figure out how to make music that just matters. Whether that's me talking about my faith, um, that'll probably be part of it, but not in a way like, um, not like some of the Christian music. I don't know if you're a believer or not, but everybody in the South has been to church at least once, right? So,
Yeah, of course.
like not like this like bubblegummy, like, oh, like God is good all the time, like he is, right? But like,
Mhm.
like in a way that it's like, dude, like I'm struggling today. Like today kind of sucks, and like I don't know if tomorrow's gonna be better. And like I'm talking about like the realistic sides of Christian things, and like not necessarily making a Christian music, just like talk, like I don't know,
Yeah, no, I hear you.
just talk about the things that matter. That isn't like, bro, like some of the songs that trend on TikTok right now. Like, are you kidding me, bro? It's like, what are we doing? Like this stuff used to matter. So I don't know. I'm on a rant now. I gotta
No,
stop.
no, no, I hear you. Are you familiar with NF? I think he's like a Christian. He's a rapper, but
You
he's
Christian
also
dude?
like
I didn't know that.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. He really disguises he is like, I think he's like Christian rap is what his like genre is.
Really? I
But
did not
he
know that,
disguises
man.
it well.
Yeah. And so I think that that'll probably like I don't know that I would label myself a Christian artist, but it's gonna be in the lyrics. It's gonna be there because
Yeah.
it's part of who I am, and I think that's the thing that's missing in society right now, which is I don't know. I could talk about that for a long time. Anyway, what's your next question?
Nothing. So I really like Sunday Call, the song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was a banger, man. For
Yeah,
sure.
man. So
It sounds like it sounds like something that I would hear on the radio.
I thought so too. But it hasn't happened yet. Maybe sometime soon. I hope so. Yeah, when I wrote that, dude, it's a crazy story.
It sounds like a totally realistic situation, and like
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
in the pandemic, like I didn't see
Yeah.
my family for like 16 months. I grew up
Wow.
in New York,
Yeah,
down in
yeah,
Virginia now. So
yeah.
it definitely it made an impact.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that song was I was on a date with a girl and I knew almost within 5 minutes I was like it was gonna be a second date. But she had said something, I don't remember what she said, but she said something that was like, hey, and in my mind, like immediately the songwriter in my mind just started sprinting. And like I had written the whole song basically in my head before I even touched a pad and a pen. And I was like, one day I'm gonna have to call my parents. So I have a Sunday call. That's a real thing. Like ever since I left California, every Sunday I call my parents to tell them that I'm alive. At the time that I was, eligible to play sports academically, like I wasn't dead, I wasn't drunk, I was a good kid still, and I was like, one day I'm gonna have to call them and tell them that I've met the girl that I want them to meet, and so. It kind of came out pretty quick, man. I had a fever in a green room here in Nashville. So green rooms are kind of like where you sit while you're waiting to go on stage. I wrote it in about 25 minutes. Just like start to finish. Sorry, I just hit my desk. Just start to finish. Like I just started it and it just kept going. Like it was like something else took my hand and was writing the song for me. It was crazy.
So when you're doing a song like that, is it lyrics first, or is it like, okay,
dude, as weird as it sounds, there's this element to songwriting where you listen to the song and it tells you where to go.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it better than that, but like you play enough music to where your fingers start playing something and you're like, damn, that sounds good. And then you grab the pen or for some people, their phone, or they start typing, but I still write on a pad of paper and
old soul.
Yeah, man. And the words they just come out, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
So I won't keep you here too much longer. So are you excited to get back to playing live shows? I know that you had a show booked for DC, but that ended up getting canceled because of that was at a place, Songbird, that I had been a couple times.
Yeah. So last year, when I was releasing a bunch of this music, I was going to go on the road and do a tour with a girl named Josie Dunn. I believe she's with Atlantic Records. I can't remember which one, but so we were going to hit Nashville, Atlanta, DC, Boston, New York, Baltimore might have been in there, and then Cleveland, Detroit, and Cincinnati or something. And so like a month before that thing, or 2 months before that, a tornado took out the venue in Nashville.
Wow.
Literally, like a tornado went through Nashville and took out the venue that we were going to play at. And then like a month later, the pandemic hit. And so they were with the tour.
Do you have feelings about that? Do you think it was a missed opportunity?
I mean, it definitely set me back, but it set everybody back. It's not like I'm unique to that, So, but I think that would have helped tremendously to get into some major markets with
new music on the like fresh.
Yeah. That was like being on the 1 yard line and fumbling, And so, yeah. But you keep going. It's like anything else, man. That sucked. What's next?
Figure it out, right? We can adapt.
Yeah.
So you still keeping up with baseball?
Yeah, man.
William Mary's team.
Yeah. So as best I can. They've been going through some weird stuff just with the pandemic.
Well, so many COVID pauses, man.
Yeah. And so trying to keep up with them, like, dude, I had heard that they were doing like on close enough games, they're flying. They would drive out the same day as a doubleheader.
What? So that's like
yeah.
Get there 3 hours before the game or 2 hours.
Right. Imagine getting up at like 6 a.m., getting on a bus, driving from Virginia to like North Carolina, playing 2 games, getting back on the bus and driving home that same day.
Sounds like
that's insane. Yeah, it does. Totally does.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, man, the Tribe, they're doing well, man. They got hot. They didn't start great, but they started to figure some things out, got some good pitching going, and they look like contenders, man. Hopefully they pull something out.
Yeah, tournament's coming up, right?
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks from now. And so I definitely keep an eye on them. We got all my college roommates and team, we still have a huge group text. So we're always loosely aware of what's going on.
All right, Willie, thanks for talking, man. I'll keep up with you, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. I'll see you.
Thanks. Oh, where can everyone find you at?
Oh, yeah. So at Willie Shaw Music, Instagram, Facebook, everything. It's under that title. You can email me at willieshawmusic@gmail if you really want to. Blow up my email. And then there's willieshawmusic.com. So anything related to that, check it out. Check out the music if you like it.
Spotify,
yeah. So anything that you listen to, it's on there, and just give me a follow on those things. And anytime I release something new, you'll get a notification about it.
All right. Thanks, bro.
Appreciate you. See you, man.